amazing that some of these people are still alive. I don't know how Alan has not himself on his own, but almost me, I don't know. How Denise has not almost herself, but kind of has me. Yeah. At least making my health bad. give me high blood pressure. Yeah, give me high blood. I probably had a heart attack.
Oh, you gotta leave tomorrow. Okay, yeah. Whatever.
How Raymond.
Oh, Raymond.
Y'all don't even, man, but that's a whole other thing. I don't even get it. I used to live with a dude named Raymond. I have so many. So I wrote down every chapter of this dude and all the crazy shit that he did because I was forgetting and people were reminding me, hey, you remember when Raymond did that shit in New Orleans? I'm like, oh, no, I forgot about that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Yeah, you remember that time Raymond got a prostitute and brought to your house?
Yeah, I was just about to bring up the prostitute.
I was like, no, I forgot. I have to write this shit. I have a Raymond file. But this dude, we lasted for about 3 months. Every month that he was supposed to pay his rent, something happened. He lost a job. He spent it on hookers and then lied about something. He just lost the money. The first day that he was supposed to move in with me and put his rent money down. The first day, I'm not even lying. This is not an exaggeration. He came up looking sad. And I was like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, Corey, I don't know how to tell you this, man, but I can't pay the rent. I was like, well, what happened? He's like, I don't know. I think the money just fell out my pocket or something. I think $600 fucking just fell out your pocket.
He comes up, he goes, well, I got these magic beans. I got a good deal.
I got these Pop-Tarts for you.
Magic beans. I sold the cow.
Hey. I said, man, this is the first day. I said, well, don't worry about it, man. Because that was the first day. It's like, all right, just see what you can do. Just make it up later. I made the mistake of taking him to New Orleans with us. We did a crazy trip to New Orleans where just some friends of mine at work, we decided, like, you know what? Let's go to Fat Tuesday. And we left, 8-hour drive. I drove all the way. We went there, got drunk. I sobered up, drove right back after about 3 hours. But his mother gave him money, and he heard we were going to New Orleans. He said, hey, can I go? And I was like, yeah, sure, man. Why not? But I told him, I said, but you got the rent money, right? And he's like, yeah, no, that's why I want to go. I got money.
I ain't going to have it till we get back. I got the shit done.
Do I have it right now?
Yes. So I went there, and we were walking around the city, and we lost that fool. We went from door to door looking in bars and whatnot, and finally got desperate, started looking at strip clubs. And we were begging these people, like, look, just let one of us in. We got to find this guy.
Well, y'all, you were, it was a Nora, basically.
Yeah. Not only with two brides arm in arm.
I knew you had two. I knew it.
Yeah,
two. Yeah, me too.
Two. Sit up there arm in arm, tank top on, smiling and shit. And on the table, nachos, chicken fingers, drinks.
And a titty bar, so you know you just dropping dough.
Yeah. The fucking chick sipping on drinks.
Oh, no. And he got a smorgasbord there, too.
I looked at Raymond. I said, it was almost like there's a scene in RoboCop. This dude comes in, he's like, bitches leave.
Right.
Yeah. And we know what happens after that.
I said, y'all get up. You out. Fucking out. I cussed his ass. That's the only thing that kept me. I think that's why I was awake. I cussed his ass out all the way to back to Austin, except for the last 2 hours where I ran out of breath. Couldn't cuss him out no more, and he sat there and acted like nothing happened and commenced to telling me ghost stories. It was not only money that he was supposed to pay me for rent, but it was money that his mother gave him to pay the rent because he was falling behind.
Yeah.
I said, "Boy, I'll tell your mom on you right now." And then the time I came in from lunch from my job one day. I had a job right down the road. It wasn't too far. I came in and he didn't think I was coming home.
Anytime you come home early from work, you're going to get a surprise.
Oh, yeah. He didn't think I was going to come home. So I come in, and I go to my room, and I'm sitting there, and I hear, because I didn't even think he was here. But I hear him in his room. I hear him talking, and then I hear what sounds like a little kid's voice. And he's like, I got a friend. I was like, friend? I looked over, and there was a girl in the corner. I don't know what the fuck she was doing. I don't know if she was hiding or what, but it was a girl in the corner staring at me, nothing but lingerie on. I'm going to accept that this is not a prostitute, that this is a friend of yours, and you brought some girl in here, and you didn't think I was coming, and so, you decided to get busy. The phone rang. And this is back when we still had a landline.
Yeah, yeah.
And I get this call, and it's a woman, and she's saying, "What the fuck you doing in that house?" Like, this is my house. She's like, "Well, nobody's supposed to be there. Get out." I'm like, "Bitch, this is my house." And I was like, Raymond. And then at the door. Open the door, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And I opened the door, and this damn butch ass girl came, "The fuck you in here for?" I'm like, "Shit, wait a minute, what the fuck is going on?" She went straight, she just barged in, went straight to the door, didn't even knock like I would have, opened it and said, "Get your clothes on, get out, we leaving." And when she left, I just stood there in disbelief for a moment, and then I walked to Raymond's room, and I said, "Motherfucker, you got one more time."
He was like, "Thanks a lot, cock block."
I said, "You got that was on the verge of when I said you got one more time." I said, I don't even know what's going. I don't even know what happened. That was surreal. I said,
Yeah, and it all happened like in a sequence like that too.
I said, "This is the crazy." I said, "One more fucking time, Raymond." I said, "This is insane. You should be gone now." And that's when he tried to get the rent money. Because he knew I was serious after that. And he tried to run around and find the rent money. And I remember I looked at him. I said, "Man," I said, that was crazy. I said, "You know this is the last time." I said, "You got to have the rent." I said, there's no excuses, no hoes, no prostitutes, no chicken fingers and nachos, no New Orleans, none of that shit, man. I'm not playing with you this time. And so that day, I remember he was running in and out, just drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
I said, "Look, I'm not gonna have no pity on him. I'm not gonna ask him what's wrong. Whatever he's doing, he's trying to get the money." But he kept going in and out, and I finally, it was all day. It was getting dark, and I just said, "All right, Raymond, what are you doing?" And he's like, I'm selling what I can, man."
Okay.
And that's when we had to talk. And I just said, "Look,
This ain't working."
I said, "If you have to do this to get the rent for the first time after 3 months."
For the first time?
Yeah. After 3 months.
Yeah.
I said, "Man," I said, "this what you got to scramble to get $600. I said, "This is not going to work." I said, "What happens next month?"
Right.
I said, you understand this, right?" I said, "We're still friends and shit, but you got to go." I said, and he did. He understood. He was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, you're right." I said, "Man, listen, thank you for the stories."
Okay, so when was it he started working as a male stripper in between all that?
That was another one. I went in there and saw his ass. It was always opening that door and something crazy was happening.
That's the show. Don't open that door.
Because I remember one day I heard him in there huffing and puffing. I said, "You better have a goddamn prostitute in there." And I went and knocked on his door. I said, "Hey, man, what's going on in there?" And he's like, "No, it's good, man." He said, "I'm just exercising." I said, "Damn." I said, and I looked at him. I said, "Man, I think I've heard you working out." I said, "You looking good."
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, I'm trying to get fit for my new job." And I said, "Your new job? So what you gonna do? Are you a male stripper?" What? Because he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "What the fuck, Raymond? What? Really? You're a male stripper?"
Yeah.
He said, "Well, I'm going for my first time to try."
Can I borrow that hat?
And we only heard what happened. We tried to go. It was a bunch of dudes who were trying to go to a male strip club just because we wanted to see Raymond.
Yeah.
Because this was going to be hilarious. I remember we were there and they told us, they said, "No guys allowed." And I remember I was like, "Well, look, there's a friend of ours, man. You can make an exception. Now, what are we going to have to do?" And then this big fucking dude came up in the back and I was like, "We will be across the street when Raymond's done." But the girls that we were with went in. Mm-hmm. And they came out and told us that. No. They said, "Wow, you're not going to believe this." And I said, "Yeah, I will." They said he came out and he was playing Busta Rhymes. And he was putting his hand on his head and everything.
Yeah, you got to do this move.
Gyrating his crotch.
And
they said, no bullshit, they said he had on some Batman underwear. Now I'm not lying, y'all. Now how they didn't check this before or anything, I don't know. I don't know if it was an open mic stripper the dance or something.
Do you have to bring your own Speedo or whatever?
I guess.
Banana hammock?
But man, ask Jennifer next time.
I remember.
And they said he came out in some Batman underwear and he was dancing crazy. And the women were kind of into it, but something went left where somebody grabbed his ass and finally dragged him off stage and put him out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's your last night, kid.
Thus the end of his
his short, sweet career
as a male stripper. And again, there goes my rent.
When they kicked him out was like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, like jazz.